All right, this morning, one, y'all might be wondering, why is Jimmy wearing a suit? This is the first time in this church. Actually, this might be the first time at any church that I've ever worn a suit. Other than somebody did make me and Gigi used to travel, and we were actually at the Potter's house at TD Jakes, and they're like, you can't go into TD Jakes looking like this. Like, just my nose. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, these are khakis. Like, I'm good. I look all right. And they're like, no, you need a suit. So we all had to get suited up. Gigi was in all white suit. Y'all wouldn't even recognize it. If I find videos of this, I mean, she's on, like, you see the worshiper that she is now, she's on, she's, like, I'm not lying. We were with Eddie James. That was a different anointing. It was incredible, but that was for a different time. That was the only other time I wore a suit. But there is a reason why I'm wearing this. One, I do like it. I bought it for the serve team party, which was incredible. One hand, I'm like, I need to get my money's worth out of this thing. If I just wear it one time a year, then I overpaid. But I am really starting to like, I need to buy some more because I am starting to like, dressing up a little more. It feels good. But, yeah, thank you. This morning, God really showed me I want to just set kind of an expectation and a premise for what's going to happen this morning, how I am going to, I don't even know if I want to call it preaching. God gave me a vision of what was going to happen this morning, that I was going to stand up here as a father. And so the vision he gave me was me and my daughter. And when I talked to her and just giving her fatherly advice. And that's my whole intent this morning. Whether I even use any scriptures, I have a couple, but for anybody that's a dad in here, or even a parent, you know that when you're giving your kid advice on that, it doesn't always go the way you planned it. Sometimes it's because of the questions they ask, and I mean, if you have a question, I guess you can ask it, but since you're probably not going to, it should go pretty close to how I think this should go today. But I wore this suit because I was like, I sometimes don't feel, in the youth, that's fine. Everybody's younger than me. Everybody, all my leaders, everybody's younger than me. So it's not hard for me to feel fatherly when I'm talking to the youth. In a room where there is people that are older than me, and in my opinion, probably people that are more mature than me, it was a little bit harder for me to feel like, fatherly in here. So I started thinking about my dad, and my dad always wore a blazer or a jacket just about every single Sunday. If he didn't have one, it was pretty rare, but he still had a tie. I didn't want to wear a collared shirt today because I wanted to be comfortable. So I was like, I got the suit, I got the jacket. So this really was like, I think God kind of getting me a little bit out of my comfort zone. But I wanted to paint the picture of how I'm going to be talking to you this morning, of where my heart is coming from, because I think it'll help you to understand that a little bit better. So the title of my sermon is Pain is Inevitable. Pain is inevitable. When I'd say I was maybe 10 or 11 years old. My Uncle Peter, he played such a huge role in my life. I was always at his house. He was like my second dad. He taught me a lot growing up. He also disciplined me a lot growing up because I was at his house eating his food, and we're Mexican, so it don't matter. He's gonna spank me whether he was my dad or not. And one day he asked me, and all my cousins, we all used to play this. And does everybody know what? And I know it goes by different names, but we called it slug bug. Everybody know what slug bug is? When you see a Volkswagen Beetle on the road, you see one. If you see it first, you get to punch the other person. That's slug bug. You see a VW bug, you see it first, you say slug bug, and you punch them. We used to play that, and I'd see even him and my uncles, like they would play every once in a while too. It was just me and my uncle, Peter. I was in the front seat, and we were driving around, running errands or doing whatever, and I saw a slug bug, so I punched him. And he looked at me and goes, do you want to play this game? And I was feeling big that day at 11 years old. And I was like, yeah, I want to play. He goes, are you sure? I said, yes, let's play slug bug. Now that I think about it, those errands took a lot longer than they should have. I'm pretty sure he just kept driving around because he tore me up that day. I don't know if he knew, maybe there was like a dealership or something. I swear, he saw every single bug before I could see it. And he sat there and and one thing about my Uncle Peter, it didn't matter if we were playing Monopoly, it didn't matter if we were playing basketball or whatever. You're playing with him, he's gonna play to his full potential. He did not take it easy just because we were smaller. So he starts hitting me every time he sees a slug bug. And my arm is starting to hurt. And then he starts punching my leg. And he was like, do you want to quit? I'm like, no, I'm not quitting. Because I was waiting for my one. I was going to punch him as hard as I could. I didn't get that one. He kept seeing it. He started punching me, no lie. And so I started crying. Like, it was hurting. He was like, do you want to quit? No, I don't want to quit, man. Shut up. I'm going to get one. I'm crying in the front seat. And I waited and waited and waited. And then when I finally saw one before he did, which, honestly, I'm crying. We've been playing for 15, 20 minutes. He probably saw it and just let me have it. I punched him as hard as I could. It probably hurt my hand more than it hurt him. My uncle was a solid guy. He gets me again. I'm crying. I was like, okay, I'm done. I quit. I couldn't take the pain any longer. Self-induced pain. I wanted to play the game. I was asking for it because I was waiting so badly to hurt him back. I'm like, you've been hurting me and hurting me and hurting me. I could have stopped it at any time. I could have said, all right, this is not wise. You are a full-grown man. I am a little child. I am crying. But no, because I was fueled by, I wanted to hurt him. I have yet to meet anybody in person or read about in history that has never experienced some sort of physical or emotional pain. I don't believe that person exists. Jesus himself, the perfect one, the sinless, the blameless one, did he experience pain? Absolutely. Pain, see, there's sometimes the pain that we choose, and then a lot of times, though, there's the pain, the hurt, the trauma that's done to us. I have been in church since I was 6 years old. My mom got saved when I was 6. I basically immediately went into ministry because shortly after that, my mom was a single mom and the pastor. My mom went in one day to the church. We went early, and she saw the pastors of the church cleaning. And she was like, do you guys not have a cleaning team or crew or anything? So they hired on my single mom because she didn't have a job, which means they also hired on me. And I started helping my mom clean the church at 6 years old. And I was at that church till I was 18. And then me and Gigi got married, and we went and started traveling and ended up in Florida. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But I've been in ministry in church since I was 6 years old. I've been hurt by every single one. Every single church, in some way, shape, or form, even this one. There's been things that have happened that have hurt me. We're not a perfect church. If you're looking for a perfect church, you ain't gonna find one. But you can find groups of people that are, especially in my opinion, this church, we have such a strong leadership, such a strong checks and balance in between each other and a respect for each other, that is what has kept us so healthy throughout the tests and trials. But don't get me wrong, things still hurt. I've hurt people since I was 6 years old in ministry. I've made some wrong choices. I've done things that I wish I could rewind time and go back and choose differently. But pain is inevitable. In this life, pain you're going to experience. If you're married, looking to be married in a relationship, if you breathe and get up and walk at any point throughout the day, work, something, pain, it's gonna find you. Because the enemy, he's got one job. he got one mission. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. That's it. When he sees you, that's all he sees. Is a way to hurt you and a way to get you to hurt others. That's it. If he can get somebody to hurt you and you not deal with it properly, then now he's got a foot in to get you to hurt other people. And that's a dangerous, dangerous place to be. One of the scriptures, one of the things that stood out to me so much about this pain and where really all of this came from, and I'm like, God, this seems hard, honestly. In Luke, and I don't have anything on the screen, sorry, so you're just going to have to listen. Luke 23, 32 through 34 in the Passion Translation. It says, 2 criminals were led away with Jesus, and all 3 were to be executed together. When they came to the place that is known as the Skull, the guards crucified Jesus, nailing him to the center cross between the 2 criminals. While they were nailing Jesus to the cross, he prayed over and over, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. The soldiers, after they crucified him, gambled over his clothing. In the footnotes in the Passion Translation, it talks about they don't actually know how many times Jesus prayed, Father, forgive them. That was his constant prayer over and over again. When they were beating him, Father, forgive them. When they nailed him, Father, forgive him. When they were gambling for his clothes, Father, like over and over again, he kept saying, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. And I thought about, like, how powerful is that prayer right there? Going through life knowing that pain is inevitable. Jesus knew that this pain was inevitable, that it was coming. He knew what his mission, what his job was, what he had to give for us. Knowing that, he still prayed. So the people that are, the soldiers that are nailing him to the cross, I think they knew what they were doing. I think they knew in that moment full and well, this is my job. King of the Jews, whatever. They spat on him. They beat him. They beat him to a point where he looked like more of a worm than a man. Unrecognizable. Nailed him to the cross. Poke him in his side. And then gambled for his clothing. I mean, that's not an accident. They didn't accidentally nail him to the cross. So how can Jesus pray, forgive them for they don't know what they're doing? Because I've had people that have hurt me, and I know full and well they knew what they were doing. I knew that their intent was to hurt me. I know that their intent was to beat me up. My uncle intended to punch me over and over again. Every single time he saw a slug bug. So then how, if we are created in God's image, supposed to imitate Christ, how do we imitate that? Where's the application for forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they do? Because we're united with him. We are one with Christ. Now we're walking in that fullness. So part of that fullness is forgiveness. A big part of that. If pain is inevitable, how much more important is forgiveness going to be throughout your life? And yet there's so many more scriptures and everything on forgiveness, but God really wanted me to focus on this one right here. Think about, all right, everybody close your eyes. Go with me here, please. Close your eyes. Picture in your mind's eye that last person that really hurt you. That last person that really had a deep effect on your life in a negative way. Now look at that person and say, Father, Forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. You can open your eyes. To apply that, you have to have an understanding. Because, and I'm not going to have you raise your hands, but I bet that was probably pretty hard. If you even did it, that's hard for me to do. It's like, no, they hurt me. They hurt me, and they knew they hurted me. And even after I told them you hurt me, they didn't really care because their intent was to hurt me. Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. The reason why we can pray that, the reason why you have to pray that, is because if somebody is hurting you intentionally, or somebody has hurt you intentionally or unintentionally, maybe they did things that, maybe they are a mean person, maybe they did something. There's been many times where somebody has done or said something in passing that has meant way more to me than it meant to them. They probably didn't have a second thought about it afterwards. I ain't gonna lie. I was in AutoZone the other day, and one of the guys, they made fun of my haircut. I'm like, I'm just trying to buy some oil. And this dude made fun of my haircut. He was I don't want to say punk. He was a younger guy. Probably didn't mean anything by it. But I walked out, and I'm like, what the crap? And I went and told Gigi, I was like, does my hair look stupid? Coming out of AutoZone, and the first thing I asked my wife is, does my hair look stupid? She's like, what is going on in that AutoZone? And I said, no. I said, the guy made fun of my haircut. And she's like, you probably didn't mean it. I'm like, probably not, but that meant something to me. And the reason why we have to be able to pray, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. It's one, genuinely, some people don't know what they're doing. So that anger, that pain, is super one-sided. It is only affecting you. And that's pain that is worthless. One-sided pain is worthless. You have to get rid of that. You have to get rid of that. So you get to release them by saying, Father, forgive them. Help me to forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. But for the intentional pain, we can pray that because in Galatians 5:22 through 23, it says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. Self-control, that is one that I have been standing on very firmly because I realize that so many of these issues, so much of the pain in my life, if I could control myself, I could let that not hurt me. So when I'm taking that scripture and pointing it towards me, I have the control over myself to pray and release forgiveness over that person. But when it gets really hard, when somebody is super intentional about hurting you, because if the Bible is true, then the enemy really is out there to steal, kill, and destroy. There is people that their minds are twisted up by the enemy, and they want to hurt you. They want to cause you pain. So now you apply Galatians 5:22 and 23. You say, you are not operating in love, joy, peace, patience, self-control. You are not operating that because God did not create you that way. God did not create those soldiers that way. They were created in his image. Every single person you will ever meet, ever encounter, was created in the image of God. And their call in life is to flow in the fruit of the Spirit, have it flow through them. So if they are not operating out like that, then they are out of their God-given mind. Because God did not give them that mind. So that is how you are able to now pray over them and say, Father, because they are not acting the way that you created them to, they are out of their God-given mind. Forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. Help me to forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. I'm telling you, God put so much weight on this form of how important, how healing this will be to you. Because what was Jesus doing on the cross? He was fulfilling his call. He was dying for our sins. In the midst of his call, experiencing the most excruciating pain he has felt on earth. But because he was secure in who he is and what his call is, and because when he looked at them, I know he saw the Father. Every single person that spit on him, every single person that beat him, everybody that was yelling at him as he was walking. He didn't see what they were doing to him. He saw they are not operating the way that God created them to operate. And because of that, I'm not going to choose to be mad at them. When a child doesn't have the understanding yet of how to operate, you give a child an iron. What's going to happen? They're going to burn themselves or they're going to burn something else. They just don't know yet. They haven't been properly taught yet how to operate that. There is so many people in this world that are going to hurt you that have not been properly taught or loved by anybody to know how they actually can operate. And because of that, you need to protect yourself by saying, Father, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. Because what do we want to think first? Man, they're hurting me. This is so intense. That's just who you are. You're just a mean, evil person. That's not who they are. We have to see them through God's eyes. We have to see them through the way that they were intended to walk on this earth. Anything else we do differently is not going to help them achieve the call on their life. I'm sorry. Being mad at them, holding them responsible, holding a grudge, all these things, that doesn't help them achieve what God has called them to do. Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. I am operating in self-control. I am operating in love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness. It's not easy to be gentle when people are being mean to you. But you know the call of God in your life. We need the church to stand up, the ones that have this knowledge, the ones that have this understanding, and look at the world with mercy. Look at the world with grace. Say, Father, forgive them. I promise you that your heart posture, your position, you will tap into the Father's heart. Jesus was praying the Father's heart over them. Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. You have the Father's heart. Man, woman, and child, you carry the Father's heart. This is how you release it when pain is inevitable in your life.